Hello and welcome. My name is Deborah Ethwin Arbinlow, and I'm a blogger and photographer for Second Life. Today I'm going to be expanding on a previous tutorial I did on advanced lighting for materials-enabled mesh. Today we're going to be learning about projectors and how to create your own projector and how to make texture-based projectors. So that is how you create effects like the one that's on the screen right now, and also how you create effects like this one that I did recently. I have put the little monkey covering its eyes so that my naked breast does not offend anyone. So these shadows were done in world as opposed to having been done in post-production. I spent maybe 5 minutes on this photo after I'd taken it in Photoshop to just enhance it a little bit. Otherwise, I didn't edit it at all, thanks to the effects that you can get with the projector lighting. So I'm going to teach you how to make your own projector. So I have a projector right here, and I'm going to teach you how to make one like it. So I'm going to change this lighting to something a little bit lighter so that you can actually see my screen. Okay, so I'm going to turn this particular projector off so that we can make our own. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is make yourself a projector texture. You can create lights, but the light will just be dispersed across the board as opposed to creating sort of spotlight effects and things like that. So let's go and make a spotlight texture for our Second Life. Okay, so we're going to just make a new file, and we're going to have it be a square size. I'm going to do 1024 by 1024. Okay, so I have my square, and I'm going to do two layers. I'm going to do a black layer and a white layer. I will put the white layer on the bottom, and then I'm going to make a black layer on top of that. Okay, so I have a black layer and a white layer. This is the new layer button if you're not familiar in Photoshop. There are probably similar options in GIMP, but I don't really know what to call them. So now I'm going to go over here to my marquee tool. I'm going to make the elliptical marquee tool. I'm going to hold Shift and be up here in a corner, and then I'm going to click and drag to create a perfect circle, like the band. I'm in fine form today. Okay, so I've created a circle sort of in the middle of my image. Now I'm going to refine the edge. There's a button up here to refine the edge, and also if you go to Select, Refine Edge is there. So we're going to click Refine Edge. Okay, now it's showing me what part of it I'm going to cut out. So I'm going to click OK. You can see my settings here. If you want to copy them, it's fine. Okay, so I'm going to click OK, and it will have created a softer version of my edge, so I won't just have a circle. So now I'm just going to Control X, cut that area out, so I end up with this spotlight effect. So it's black and white. So I'm going to flatten this. You can either right click and flatten the image, or you can just hit Control E or whatever, flatten the image. Either way. So just basically you want to make the image flat, or you could have a PNG, but it'll just be easier to have it be flat. It doesn't really matter. You just want to have it be one layer. Okay. So now we're just going to save it. I'm going to save it for web just to make it small. Save, whatever you want to call it, Spotlight. I already have Spotlight, so I'm just going to name it Spotlight 3. Doesn't matter. You can save it as a regular file. You can save it for web for a smaller file size. It's not really going to matter because this texture just goes into your lighting. Alright, so I've saved this, and then I'm going to upload it into my Second Life. So I've actually already uploaded a spotlight texture, but if you haven't, you just go to Avatar, Upload an Image, or you can hit Control U. Okay, so I've already uploaded my texture. Now I need to make my projector prim. So I'm going to go to Build, which is Control B, and I'm going to create just a square prim. It doesn't have to be square, but I'm going to make a square prim. Okay, so I have my square prim here, and if I turn the lighting model on, it's going to create a light out of the bottom. So the light is actually coming out of the bottom there. Now I have my prim. Let me just change this texture so you can see it better. Blank. The texture of the prim doesn't really matter. This is just so you can see it. Okay, so now I've created my prim and I need to go to features. And down here under light, we're going to have light checked. And then here is a box where you can put a texture. So I'm going to put my spotlight texture into this box. Okay, textures, and then I have my spotlight texture. Okay, so I have my texture and it's coming at the bottom. If you have not moved your prim up, you won't see your texture at all, because the light will be hidden underneath where you've resed it. So you're going to want to lift it to see your spotlight. And as you go up and down, your spotlight will change. But the texture of the spotlight is from the texture that we've made. Okay, so I'm going to point this at my avatar. I'm hitting Control to rotate, but you can do that from the build menu as well. Okay, so I have my basic projector on. Now, for settings in Second Life, under Light, you want to make sure that you have your advanced lighting model on, that you have enabled local lights, and that you have shadow types set to sun, moon, and projectors. This is a projector, so you need it to be on. If you enable ambient occlusion, it will make your shadows appear softer. It's also kind of laggy, so you may find that you have lower performance if you have your ambient occlusion on, but it does make the shadows softer. Okay, so we're going to keep ours off just to keep this running smoother. Now, I'm going to change my wind light to a darker setting. You want to be in a darker setting because you don't want to have too much light around you so that you can really see the effect. So I'm going to change it to ambient dark, which is a basically black wind light setting. But because I have my light on, it's going to leave the light where the light is projecting. You can change your prim to an invisible prim once you have it set up or whatever, but I'm going to keep it so that you can see it. So you can resize it if you want to resize it or not. No big deal. Okay, so let's zoom in. We will zoom. Okay, I still have my object selected, so now I'm going to do some edits to the light area to make changes to my light. So intensity, you can only really reduce it, and we don't usually need to do that, so we're going to keep that at 1. Radius will change the amount of light you get in your projector. So a lot of times I like to set it to 20, but it depends on what you're going for. So I have mine set to 20, and then you can see sort of the effect. And then 10 being the normal sort of default is a little bit of a softer look. Okay. Now you have fall off, which doesn't really matter to us. We don't care about fall off. You can see how it changes. Creates brighter areas. You don't really need to edit that. Field of view is something that's important to us. That's going to change the size of the circle. So let's decrease our field of view so you can see how it's tightening the spotlight. And if you increase your field of view, you will expand your spotlight. But that also degrades the shadow itself. So typically you're going to want to go lower rather than higher. Okay. Moving on, so ambience is another thing that's important. If you have too much ambient light, you will reduce your shadows, but it will make your face look better. So we'll increase our ambient light a little, make our face look better. The problem is, see, this shadow starts to be less potent, so that's something that occurs when you have an increased ambience. So it depends on the kind of photo that you're trying to make, whether or not you want your ambience high or not. You could also take a shot with your ambience high so that your face looks better, and then a shot with your ambience low, and sort of combine the two images to make the face still look good and still have some shadows. And then you've got focus, which basically just increases and decreases the shadow area. You don't really want to mess with those things. So let's increase. Okay, so we have the basic principles. You can still just leave these at the default setting if you want. You don't have to change them, but at least now you know what your opportunities are. Okay, so we have done the basics of the projector. Now you can rotate your projector to change where the light hits, etc. If you want to have it closer, direct face on, angling it, basically angling it just the way that you would angle any kind of lights. So I've made it more distant, and you can see the sort of effect that you get. Let's increase the ambience. You see the ambient light makes the face look much better, but also it takes away the shadows. So it's a pro and con sort of scenario. So that's it really for projectors. It's pretty simple actually to create your own so that you can make fancy, cool photos with projectors. You're going to want to turn this invisible when you do your own, but for the sake of this, looks pretty cool. So that's projectors. If you have any questions about projectors, you can leave them in my YouTube channel comments. You can send me a message on Flickr or in Second Life. And if you have any suggestions, you can do the same. That is it for this tutorial, and I hope that you had fun. Thanks.